How to supersize your business by being clean as a whistle. Can you possibly do that? I love whistles. Any person that has ever been in a school or activity or a FIED class, remember when they used to call it FIED? I don't think they call it that anymore, physical education, has heard a whistle. At least when I was growing up, our teachers, when we were out for recess, as far back as grade school, everybody used to whistle. It's a great way to get attention. Annoying if you're a dog or somebody, but I don't even know, do policemen still carry whistles? They used to. Anyway, clean as a whistle is it's a great idiom. It's an especially applicable idiom for today. Clean as a whistle, of course, means to be completely free of dirt, to be perfectly neat and clean, and I think organized fits in there too. This is one of those idioms that's been around for hundreds of years, but given what's going on in our world right now with the COVID and the pandemic and all the other craziness, it's a perfect idiom and a perfect way to remind us and get our attention in areas of our business that, depending on the type of business you're in, you may not have ever even had to consider before. This was actually, there was a different version called a tomb's a whistle, where a tomb meant empty. And Robert Burns, back in the late 1700s, a famous Scottish poet, used that expression to describe the necessity and the importance of keeping, for wind instruments, which I guess a whistle is a wind instrument, the reed or the blowing, and you know, in whistles it's a little ball, but keeping that clean, free of dirt and dust, so you get that good, clean sound coming out of that instrument. And that's the same thing we need to do in our businesses and in our life, but especially in our businesses, and now more than ever, to attract customers back to our businesses. If your business has been closed and you're attracting people back, there's new guidelines in almost all areas that weren't there before. I went to a nail salon up at the Cabin in Minnesota, and they've got the shields, everything's separated, all of the samples are covered now, and you're not allowed to touch them. You can only look at them through plastic, things like that. And they sanitize the work areas after each step in the process and after each customer. And so they're doing things that are really awesome, and they make you feel good about going there. And I will admit, nail salons, nail industry is one that I participated in as a customer, and there were things that they did that always bothered me, right, as a customer. It never said anything, but I just made sure I took care of it myself. For example, you would go in there and you never washed your hands before you did anything. The first thing you would do is you'd go find a color, and you touch all the samples, and you and thousands of other people, heaven knows where they'd been, would be using and shuffling through the same basket of sample nails, right, to pick a color. Or it was just, nobody washed their hands. Then they would work on you and do your nails up to the almost last step in the process where they were going to put on polish. That was when you washed your hands. So I always made sure I went in with clean hands, but I don't think very many other people did. They just were going about their day, and when their nail appointment came, they walked into the salon, or they just walked into the salon, because nail salons always just did walk-ins, and who knows where they'd been. They might have been shopping. They might have been in hopefully, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but there's one industry that's gone through, and that was already a health and safety industry, right? That was already a business that was in that industry, and they've had to make massive changes. So I think of all the businesses that have never really had to give health or sanitation anything more than a second thought. And the COVID, one of the good, I think personally, benefits that is coming out of that is people are considering the larger impact of the way they operate, their standard operating procedures, their SSOPs, or in the food industry, we always had HACCP, Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points, which was a whole series of procedures. And in manufacturing, GMPs, which are good manufacturing practices. And that's all a way of describing processes and procedures, the way we do things in different industries to ensure quality, safety, predictability for our customers, our end customers. And now that's being applied to our employees as well. There's a lot of industries that have traditionally run, especially in manufacturing, where it's just people stacked right on top of one another. That doesn't work anymore. We found that in the food industry, where all kinds of people were getting sick in the meat plants and in the meat processing plants, because you can't have people stacked on top of each other processing anything if there's the opportunity or the possibility of communicable diseases, such as COVID-19. Actually, such as anything, common cold, anything. I think we're changing the way we decide if we're going to go to work or not, right? I was one of those people in my early days where I went to work even if I was almost on my deathbed. I just always went to work because I figured it was my responsibility to just show up and go to work. And now I will absolutely positively rethink that. I probably changed that philosophy 10 years ago where, hey, if I'm sick, I am not being of service to people. I'm just putting other people at risk of getting them sick as well. So from that standpoint, clean as a whistle it's one of my nerdy favorite things, right? Because I honestly believe at my core level that having a process and a procedure and a system, a place for everything and everything in its place is the way to run any business, right? It's the way to be organized. It's actually more efficient and more effective if everybody knows where everything goes and where they can find everything, right? That works in almost any area, any aspect, any department in a business, a real live physical business, as well as your online business, right? Any business. It applies to any business, any service. If you have ways of doing things and it's documented and everybody knows or everybody's trained, and documented doesn't have to be old written documented procedures anymore. It can be videos. I train a lot of people now using videos on this is the way we do things. This is our standard operating procedure. One thing awesome about the food industry was that, and I was in that for over 35 years in food manufacturing, Italian food manufacturing, is every day we had automatic processes and procedures for sanitation and cleanliness that we had to do to ensure that the people, our customers and our employees, were always safe and that nothing could ever happen. I am proud to say that never in the 35 years did we ever have a food safety, food sanitation, illness, or any kind of a recall or anybody ever complained or anybody ever gotten sick from our products. And I'm really proud to say that because in 35 years, there aren't very many industries that can say they've never had a single complaint or a single challenge with that. And that's because I always thought of it as, if my kids were consuming this, not just me, but if my children, my babies were consuming this, would I do that? And that just made it easy to always do the right thing with respect to cleanliness, sanitation, safety, and everything with respect to manufacturing. So it's giving all of us, this time is a great time to look at the way we do things, making sure that we're doing them in a way that has a more global impact. And by global, I mean, just you define global. It doesn't have to be the world, but it can be just for your environment, your industry, your business, your job, your employees, the people that you interact with and impact. I will be the first to admit that I love to be in a clean, organized environment where everybody knows where everything is. I just don't want to be the only one that's doing it, which is, I think, part of my love for processes and procedures and systems that everybody follows, because then it isn't just my job to make sure everything gets taken care of and put back in the place that it belongs. Love to know your experience with this, what you're doing as part of COVID-19, maybe some new things that you've never done before. Share those in the comments below so other people can get some ideas and how and what they can do. I've really enjoyed watching the difference between Minnesota and Wisconsin as they have opened different type businesses up following this pandemic and as they're opening them up, because it's like night and day. So it really shows the spectrum of how people are responding and different businesses are responding to it. All right, have an amazing day. I will be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? And how might you apply it to your business today? Take care. Bye. Go clean something.